Welcome back to Matchday Live. Chelsea are back in the top four of the Premier League after a 2-0 win against Newcastle United. Both goals coming in the first half. Olivier Giroud and Timo Werner. But the bigger news, this is a reputable show because all four of us spot on 100%, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. Never seen the like of it before, Jason Cundy.
Not happy. Sorry. It's a hollow victory. Look, first half was excellent. First half was excellent. Okay, really good. Second, I did say at half time that this game is not at 2-0. They had a couple of chances, and I shouldn't be looking at the clock at 84 minutes thinking, God, what if they do get one? And I don't want to be too harsh because we're fourth. It's remarkable. And another clean sheet. If you'd asked, of course, 2-0 for the game, I'd have snatched your hands off. And we all predicted. But at half time, this game should really have been over. We should have made sure we buried them second half, and we didn't. And that I'm allowed to be a bit disappointed, aren't I?
No.
No. I don't know.
I take your point because Dan, I think in a roundabout way that second half was perhaps what all Chelsea fans expected to see in terms of Newcastle perhaps offering a little bit more and it being a little bit more of a level play. I think the fact that Newcastle was so far off it in the first half and Chelsea was so good that if it was the other way round, I think we'll be sitting here all buzzing that we've come through it. The fact that it was the other way around, I think it's a fair assessment. I think second half Newcastle did grow into the game, but perhaps the damage was already done and Chelsea didn't need to do anything second half, did they?
Yeah, they didn't need to, but it's a dangerous scoreline to know. If they do manage to nick a goal, then all of a sudden, squeaky bum time. So we made it through. It wasn't, the best watching the second half. We couldn't get, a goal to really put them away. But really, based on the performance of the first half and just the situation of the game in general, we should have been out of sight. At some point, we should have been out of sight. But it was 2-0. You can't complain too much. 2-0, clean sheet, dominant performance. So, yes, there's bits that we can improve on, but it's still a very convincing win.
That's the mark of a good team, though, isn't it, Abby? When you win 2-0 at home and you're still saying we could have done better, we could have won by 3 or 4, and eventually, if you are going into games and you're winning games comfortably, because let's have it absolutely right. Like the boys have said, we could have been 3 or 4 up at half time. If we'd have come in 4-0 up, no one would have bat an eyelid really, because the game lent itself that way. Second half, we didn't need to get out of second gear. So I suppose when you're winning games comfortably and you're not at your best, they always say. And obviously, it's an over-exaggeration at the moment. But in terms of that's what very good teams do. That's what champions do is get through games. And if you're not performing at your very best and you're still picking up 3 points, that's got to be a positive.
Yeah, it's got to be a good place to be in, hasn't it? I just don't think we really kicked on at all in the second half. But we've got the job done, and that's fine. That is absolutely fine. I just think we should probably be more ruthless against teams in the lower part of the table. Like, that could have been 5-6-0. Like, it could have got to sort of, silly figures, and it didn't. But as you say, winning mentality sometimes is just get through a game. A win's a win, and we got the 3 points, and we're top 4. And Werner scored. Come on, there's a lot to celebrate.
Absolutely spot on, Jay. Just on Timo Werner, because again, excellent again. First half deserved his goal, brilliant. Second half, he could have had a penalty, couldn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I felt it wasn't enough for a penalty. And I think the reason that it looks bad, and it might have been given, is the fact that he's got both feet off the ground pretty much, or certainly hasn't got much balance. And I think it probably looks worse. I think if he's got both feet planted, I think he stands out. I don't think there's enough in it. Having said that, Ben, we looked at it a few times, and I went, but VAR would have looked at it. It would have been very soft. For me, very soft, but it was one of those ones, especially with VAR.
Yeah, definitely. Dan, I think Timo is a number of players that performed very well tonight. But we kind of mentioned it at halftime a little bit, but Mateo Kovacic was just superb again today, wasn't he?
Ran the show. Completely ran the show. On the ball, off the ball. Look, we all know how important he is to the club. He got player of this season last year for us. So, he's got pretty much everything, tenacious, and he does it quietly. Other teams don't seem to notice that he is running the show until they're already two goals down. So, another brilliant performance, and it goes to show how much we have in terms of talent. If Mount didn't have, an outrageously good game today, but Kovacic certainly did, Werner did. And when those two are not at the races, then there's another two that will be on the ball. And it's good. You know, it's good. Not every game can you have a 9 out of 10 performance. So, but Cover had one today.
Abby, with Olivier Giroud, obviously, you can't ask more from him than stepping off the bench, being ready to go and score, and within sort of 10, 15 minutes of coming on of a substitute. But he's another player. Every time he gets an opportunity, he seems to take it. I mean, obviously, we all think back to Sevilla when he couldn't stop scoring, and then he's one of those players. He's so consistent. He almost does himself a disservice, because even when he comes off the bench, you go, he has an impact when he comes off of the bench. It doesn't need to be starting games, because he does it all the time. Now he'll be looking to start games. Obviously, we don't know the extent of Tammy Abraham's injury, but having someone like Olivier Giroud to be able to step in and not feel the pinch as much as some teams would if they were to lose a centre forward at this stage of the season is a huge bonus.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. We're in such a funny position that you have a world-class striker like Giroud just sitting on the bench and good to go when you need him, you know. I'm hoping that Tammy is okay. Obviously, wishing him a speedy recovery, hoping it's nothing too serious. But yeah, Giroud, he's just brilliant, isn't he? I haven't got enough words. He just does what he does best. Classy finishes, always.
Yeah, absolutely right. And Jay, Kepa in goal tonight, I thought he didn't have a huge amount to do, but what he did, I thought he'd done very well.
Yeah, like you said, not having a lot to do is kind of difficult to gauge it. His kicking, I thought, improved as the game went on. There was just that one punch, perhaps could have done a little bit better, get a bit more on it. There was a nice save. Willock, when it wins the flick on, it looked like it's creeping into that far post. I don't know what you guys think there. And in the end, it was a save you felt he should make. There was the free kick from Jonjo Shelvey. Other than that, there wasn't a lot that he really was asked to do. So it'll be really fascinating to see what Tuchel does with that goalkeeping situation over the coming weeks, whether Mendy gets a look back in or whether he sticks with Kepa. Difficult to say, isn't it?
So you said in the pre-match show about consistency from a goalkeeper. I know that we've spoken about perhaps different players playing for different games. It's not a position you can do that with, is it? Or is it?
No, I don't think you can. I don't think you should. You have number one goalkeeper, and you might have a Carabao Cup. You might have maybe an FA Cup goalkeeper, ones that plays in just the cup competitions. So we'll see. We will see. We'll see how this develops, because we're playing in a lot of competitions. We've got 3 competitions coming up over the coming weeks. Okay, so we will see how that pans out. I don't think Mendy's done a huge amount wrong, although I can understand that disappointment with the goal against Sheffield United. I didn't do it. I thought Kepa done okay against Barnsley. Didn't have a lot to do. Big save, right place, right time. Yeah, very important save. So it's difficult to know, isn't it? You know, I'd be really interested to ask Tuchel about that, about what his plans are. He won't probably give too much away, but that's the one position that's maybe going, oh, okay, that's interesting. Zuma, of course, clearly is not in his plans right now. Chilwell's looks like he's going to struggle. There's 1 or 2 other positions in there that you're not quite sure about, but the goalkeeper one's the one that's really surprised me.
It's interesting, isn't it, Dan? Because obviously Southampton at the weekend, and now you're looking at you. I think there'll be eyebrows raised if Mendy comes back in, because Kepa started tonight and he's obviously kept a clean sheet. So I suppose that keeping us guessing. But you know, from the same perspective, like we mentioned before, competition for places is never a poor thing. Consistency is what everyone strives for, but competition is never. Yeah, like I said, it's never a bad thing.
Yeah, it will force them both to up their game, I guess. But as Jay said, you really do want a nailed on number one. Maybe Tuchel's still searching for it. You know, he obviously sees them on the training ground, and for whatever reason, he went with Kepa today. You have no idea what he's going to do against Southampton. You really don't. I'm sure he's going to be asked that day in, day out by the media. So we'll get our answer soon, I guess.
I think it's a really interesting point that Dan made about the training ground. We don't see that. All we see are the 90 minutes or whatever competition we're playing in at any given time. That's all we see. We don't see the hard work that goes in every single day. He might have had a different look at that.
It's so interesting, isn't it, Abby? Because like the boys have said, we don't see that behind the scenes. You know, all we see is the Chelsea unseen on the Fifth Stand Up or on the YouTube channel, and we get little glimpses of things here and there. But it could be all manner of things. And with a new manager coming in, we are still guessing. You know, we haven't got anything to compare it against because it's only been here 2-3 weeks or whatever. So it's so interesting, and we are learning so much game by game. And you know, we did kind of allude to it before the show, but we will learn a lot over the next 10, 12 days because of the games we've got upcoming: Southampton, Atletico Madrid, Manchester United. So this is it, isn't it now? This is a really testing period where we'll find out how far we've come.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with the games coming up, it's going to be the real test for the manager and for the squad as well. And it's going to be interesting to see who he picks in some of these bigger games, because he's still working out what the players can bring. The players are giving it everything in training, trying to impress. So it's interesting. And what I've read about Tuchel before is, he does heavily rotate the squad. I mean, I don't know if he'll necessarily be swapping goalkeepers game to game, but it does show that the whole of the squad could get used throughout the season. So yeah, it's kind of anybody's guess really, isn't it? Who's going to be playing in the next couple of matches.
The added interest as well, Jay, because I saw one or two people mention this on Twitter, and to be honest with you, I did initially think it when N'Golo Kanté come on. I went, is he going to play as a 10? Yeah. Are we going to see N'Golo playing off the front, man? I know we've seen him in more advanced positions, but that's again something we're going to have to get used to. Is when players come on, it's not often going to be a straight swap. It's going to be a change of system. You're going to get free. And that, again, is so interesting, but it makes it so unpredictable to play against, doesn't it?
Well, I think at that stage of the game, we Newcastle were having one or two skirmishes going forward, set pieces, and I think he just wanted, I think also the substitution that he made, which was like for like, which was Reece coming on for Callum, slightly more defensively minded. That's what N'Golo is going to give you, slightly more defensively minded in there as well. You've got that 3 in there instead of the 2. So I thought he'd done okay, N'Golo, to be honest with you. But the thing that, as we've already touched on here, Kovacic, with the ball and without the ball, because I thought he was superb, as we've said there. It was my man of the match. I said that in the commentary, but it was the two parts, because one with the ball, we know what he's capable of, but without the ball, I think less so. We normally look at N'Golo, don't we, when we think about without the ball, who's going to win it back for us? But both parts of his game today were superb, and looking at that, N'Golo's really. How do you play him? Who do you bring him on for? Because Jorginho's the link man. He's the one that keeps ticking over. He's the possession man. Well, you're looking at a very different Chelsea side if you take N'Golo out for Jorginho. So it can only be cover. And what I'm looking at the moment, I can't see it.
So interesting, isn't it? So interesting. Well, a good night for Chelsea. Unfortunately, not a great night for Chelsea in the PL2. A 2-1 defeat to Derby County. George McEachran did give us an early lead with a lovely low free kick that snuck under the wall. Really nice free kick. Brian Fiabema, unfortunately, then saw his penalty crash against the crossbar. And then Derby did turn it around. They got quite a scrappy equaliser. Before unfortunately going on to win the game 2-1. Dan, with the PL2, it's a good opportunity for players coming through, and like we keep saying about the academy prospects, Mason Mount, etc. If you play well in the PL2, Tino Andrin's been given his opportunity, Lewis Bates been in the squad this season, so it's a huge incentive for him to play well. Yeah, definitely. Look, it's more so now than I've ever seen before. Players are breaking through from the academy into the first team. It was almost unheard of 10, 15 years ago that a young player gets a chance. You might see him and you just don't see him again. But now these players have a real chance. They get a real exposure. I keep a real close eye on the PL2, like I'm sure a lot of us do. It's really good, going forward that the players in the PL2 have the opportunity to step up and go into the first team, whether it be in a cup game or whether they're trusted in the Premier League as well. Absolutely. It's a great opportunity for him. Lots coming up on the fifth stand for us. Of course, you can get all the post-match reaction from tonight and see highlights of the match a little bit later on. Friday afternoon, the boss will be speaking to the press ahead of a trip to the South Coast. Later that evening, we've got more PL2 action as we take on Liverpool. And make sure you join us nice and early on Saturday. We are back for Matchday Live from 11:20. Chelsea away to Ralph Hasenhüttl's Southampton. That'll be a good test. Fantastic night tonight, obviously, but some things are more important than 3 points. A touching banner unveiled before kickoff at the Bridge tonight for Paul Cannavale, who remains in a critical condition in hospital. A true pioneer, and everyone at Chelsea Football Club wishes him a very speedy recovery. So Chelsea back up to into the top 4 places tonight. A wonderful night. 2-0 winners. All 4 correct scores on Matchday Live. So, why on earth would you miss it on Saturday? Do make sure you join us for it. A good night's work all round. Bring on the weekend. Thank you for watching and good night.